Well, hello again. Oh my God, you guys, we're doing a hit and run right now because I just watched the first two episodes of the latest season of Project Runway. And let's just say I have some thoughts. I have a few thoughts, and there's something that's been like bubbling under my skin from watching it. And please tell me I'm crazy. Hopefully, I'm the only one that's seeing this and picking up on this. And maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm being overly sensitive. That's very much a possibility. But for some reason, Project Runway really has a problem when it comes to drag. Like, they really don't seem to like it. And it's one of those things that, like, I can't help but pick up on certain things and certain ways they talk about it that kind of rub me the wrong way. And in particular, it's the first time where we've had two contestants from RuPaul's Drag Race on the show, and one contestant who works very, very closely with other contestants and designed dozens of looks for girls over the years. Like, he's a very celebrated designer in the drag world. Now, a little history lesson. This is not the first time drag queens have been on Project Runway. I believe it was season 4 or 5 that had a whole challenge dedicated to like the best of New York drag. That the late great Chris March brought in some legends like Hedda and Varla in to be guest contestants to like be made over for the show. So they have a history with drag, but there's also some bad stuff, like the hot T-word mess being coined by the man who's now the mentor for all the designers this season, which I still have like a love-hate relationship with Christian Siriano. Like, honestly, I don't think he's a very good mentor. I really, really miss Tim Gunn. He's very much a presence that is missed, but I digress. Let's get into what I want to talk about today, which is like, they have a problem with drag. There's a drag problem here. Now, I'm not going to go out of my way and defend the looks that were brought by Q and Plain Jane. I feel like it was very, very valid, the fact that they were in the bottom. It's just certain things that get said that really get under my skin. And maybe I'm just being overly sensitive because this is like, you know, my profession that I do for a living. But when it comes to the way they discuss costuming and drag, they use it as like a dirty word in the realm of fashion, which is very disturbing for me because costume history is like an essential tenement in the world of fashion design. I went to fashion design school. You did not pass unless you passed costume history. It was mandatory. You had to take it. And you had to understand why costuming is so important to the world of fashion. And I know a lot of people would sneeze at it and got really, really annoyed. I loved it because, of course, I'm a history buff. But like, for some reason, I always really, really loved costume design, and I respect it because it's a true art form. And it's truly like being the historian of fashion. That's what costumers are. That's what costume design is. You're the tastemakers and the true historians of fashion design. So when I hear it discussed so disparagingly by Christian Siriano or La Roche or even like Heidi Klum, where it's just like, it's coming off a bit too costumey for me, it really rubs me the wrong way. I'm just like, stop talking about like it's not here, okay? Like, costume design is very, very essential to fashion. Let's get into it, shall we? I think what we forget is like, costume design is telling the world's story. It's telling all of our stories. You don't understand how much work goes into being a costume designer. You have to study, research, understand why people wore these clothes, what was their functionality, why you pick these clothes day by day. It's understanding like and unraveling and digging deeper into like who people were. What was their deal? Why were they doing this? Why did they pick these things to put on their backs? It wasn't just magazines or television programs telling them to wear this. Like, there was real reasons to why they gravitated towards this. And even if we're going so far as like the very high glamour old Hollywood fashion, you gotta understand, like, designers like Trivia, Edith fucking Head, Theodora Van Runkle, I could go on and on. There are so many incredible costume designers that are just essential to the history of fashion that really were, at a certain point in the 1930s throughout to the 1950s, they were spoon feeding fashion houses ideas because they weren't coming up with interesting shit. All the interesting shit was happening in Hollywood. Like, just look at Joan Crawford and Letty Linton. Those dresses with those huge puffy sleeves, which we still see on Project Runway to this day, by the way. That came from a designer for Letty Linton. That was a costume designer that influenced real women in the real world to say, I want to wear something like that. I want to look glamorous like that. Like, this is exactly what I need to pull me out of depression in this Great Depression. Okay, mama? Now let's talk about the queens. I can't help but feel like these queens were used. Like, they truly just used them for their clout and their namesake and to get people to tune in because immediately brought in another queen as soon as they were eliminated. And spoiler alert right now. Spoiler alert right now. Both Drag Race queens do not make it. Q and Plain Jane were both in the bottom and were eliminated second episode. And a whole slew of like 6 contestants to go home. It was very wild. It's like, why did you bother having 22 contestants if you're just going to chop half of them within the first 3 episodes? Like, it's so dumb. Like, it's so sketchy. I don't love it. Just film 2 separate seasons. You're totally capable of doing this. But I digress. Not to say that both queens didn't necessarily bring it when it came to like presenting something for Project Runway, but also falls into a matter of taste. Like I understand Plain Jane's look probably wasn't as much as they were hoping for, but you also have to understand like there is a certain disadvantage that goes into this being a drag performer, where you're used to designing for yourself, you have to challenge yourself to design for other people, to where the idea of my own vision kind of gets clouded up, where this is me, and this is what I'm bringing, this is what I'm presenting, and it's sickening. And I loved her blind confidence throughout all of it. Like, no matter what, she would not falter. She stood 10 toes down in what she thought and her convictions, and I can respect that. I didn't necessarily like the look, but I respect the fact that she felt strongly enough to stand up there and say, I don't give a fuck, this is amazing. And I love and respect that. And thank you, Plain Jane, because you were highly entertaining. And I'm going to miss you on this season, because truly, what a fucking dull dishwater bag of designers they have this season. A lot of Alexander McQueen knockoff bullshit that I did not have patience for. Or like really ho-hum, like Coachella nonsense, like lots of lace and lots of just like prairie skirts. Ugh. I hated it. Lots and lots of that happening here. Where it's like lots of shit I've seen designs by other designers that they're low-key just kind of mopping and passing off as their own. Like, can we leave Alexander McQueen behind? Let the man rest. Can we leave those designs in the past? Like, stop trying to resurrect them. You're not going to be him. Like, I don't buy it. It's not your original design. And stop. That's pretty lofty to call it your design when I've seen it walk on the runway how many fucking years ago? And people are still referencing it. It's in a Lady Gaga video. Calm it down, bitch. Let's talk about Q. Now, Q, I had a very, very hard time watching her because she's going through a lot coming onto the show, and she really had a lot riding on it and had so much hopes for the show. And it broke my heart to see that it didn't necessarily pan out for her. But certain critiques she was getting really, really bothered me. And I feel like there's a theory I have buzzing around in my mind where I feel like she was being steered the wrong way from the jump. Even down to the costume that she had brought for herself to present on the runway, it seemed like there was a block going up because we all seen the amazing design she could create on Drag Race for herself. Like, she has amazing, grandiose, really out of the box and thoughtful stuff like that Keith Haring dress, man. You remember that? That was fucking incredible. So I was really, really excited to see what she would bring, because that's what Project Runway lacks, is very, very interesting people with interesting thoughts. It's very rare that you get that. There are only like a few this season that have that kind of factor to them where I'm excited to see what they're doing. But unfortunately, it seemed like Q kind of got in her head, and the design she brought was like a very not very glamorous or fun outfit. It lacked a lot of fun and excitement. It was very simple. It was very like the very best of Windsor could bring, you know? And I felt for her because even talking to Christian Siriano, he has this thing where I cannot stand the way he doles out advice. Like, his kind of like mentorship really bothers me because it's more just like,
don't do that. That's stupid. Girl, really? No.
Whereas like Tim Gunn at least would like meet you halfway with something and try and get to know the person. Like, he was very good at talking to people. Whereas Christian Siriano, I feel like just kind of cuts people off. He's very, very short. And I don't like that. And it's not a very warm disposition to have for someone you're looking to for guidance. Where if you're going to a guidance counselor and they're merely just like, okay, what? What the fuck is that? What is that, dude? Like, could we not? I'm reminded from the line of Validated Dolls from Sharon Tate whenever I see him. It's like, ugh, this one again.
You know how bitchy fags can be.
But they're telling Q that, like, she should really steer away from being too over the top and bring too much of her drag persona, her drag character into her designs, which I feel like is the worst advice to give somebody because that's her first and major creative outlet when it comes to designing. Like, that is a conduit to which all these ideas flow through. And to tell somebody not to channel that is deeply fucked up. Like, I do not understand it. I think it's very, very gross, and I hated it. I truly hated it. And I have to say, I love the fact that Plain Jane, no matter what, stood convicted. Whenever people like Christian or La Roche or someone would try and like cut her down, she would not let it happen. And I respect the fuck out of that. Like, she was so punk for that. Like, she knew it probably wasn't enough, but she believed enough to think, like, I have enough personality and I love this enough to where you're gonna love it too. And I dig it. You know, I fucking love that. Like, how fucking punk is that? And then we come to Jeffrey Kelly. Now, Jeffrey Kelly's first outfit I actually did not hate. Like, it's very much a design, like, it's very Trinity the Tuck when you look at it. It's like over-designed, like shit spilling out of you, bursting out, like sunburst. She looked like a love seat that was granted a wish from a fairy godmother and just became a fabulous princess for the night. Like, you caught her mid-transformation in a screenshot. That's what it looked like with all the bursts coming out. I dug it. I thought it was fun. It wasn't the best color choice, I'll give it that. But again, it's like, this is totally a fun, flirty drag Met Gala kind of look. And the way they read his ass down for this really irked me. Because it's just like, it was one of the few really interesting things that walked down that runway. And it looked expensive and it looked very well tailored. And that's what bothers me, because it's kind of like dismissing anything that's a bit out of the box or anything that's too creative automatically gets shut down on this show. Like, they really, really have an idea of what fashion should be. And it's the most boring, lacy, seen every day in a catalog kind of bullshit. Like, it's very rare that a designer that has truly creative ideas ever seeps through. The ones that play by the rules and obey the status quo are the designers you never remember. No one gives a fuck what Coco Chanel did, but we all remember Trivia, Theodora Van Runkel, Edith Head, or even more other designers at that time like Givenchy, Dior. Like, they all were doing really, really innovative, fun silhouettes, not just boxy, boring shit for boring people.
Also, I feel like Jeffree has more of an advantage coming into this competition than Q or Plain Jane ever did, because he's not an actual drag queen. He just designs for them. So he's seen more as like a presentable, like straight kind of guy in comparison to these two drag monsters that are so easy to tear down because they do a different art form other than just making clothes. The way they talk to him has a certain level of respect that I don't feel like was ever given to Q or Plain Jane whenever they're giving their one-on-ones.
I particularly take well when people dismiss drag. As a person that fully curates drag history and takes it very seriously, I fully think that drag is an art form that can elevate from just comedy and silliness to very serious fashion and artistic expression. And I feel like it's often undercut and treated with this like it's not important kind of attitude, or you're just having fun, because I can get it, the job looks fun, but it's a lot of work. And I feel like there's a very big lack of respect, especially in this show in the last couple seasons I've seen, where the contestants that do have a history of doing drag, they're oftentimes very condescendingly talked to. Like, they're patronized, and I don't dig that, and I don't vibe with it. And I have to applaud Plain Jane, Q, and even Jeffree, because, like, y'all were being so patient with these people, especially the way they were playing in your face about your profession and, like, undercutting it. And, like, it's the lack of respect. The lack of respect for me, because if it was me, I would have cussed them the fuck out.
To get back to the point of Project Runway hating costume design, I feel like it's very, very disappointing and very kind of missing the point of fashion in general. Like, how can you say that you're a tastemaker and you need to know references, but spit at costume design? Because that's what costume design is. It's exploring what people were doing in those times, why they loved these things, and what they dreamed about. Like, what were they fantasizing about looking like back in those days? Like, what was considered unreachable that we wanted to create in garment form? How can you spit at that? That's such a beautiful thing. And let's calm it the fuck down with this whole, it doesn't necessarily look wearable. Bitch, that's not what the runway is for. Like, that's not why you have runway collections. It gets distilled down and filtered down to eventually becomes a purse. But you're throwing out innovative ideas. Like, a runway is essentially just showing off. It's basically sitting there and saying, look what the fuck I can do. And I feel like that's what a lot of us people as civilians kind of miss when it comes to runways, where we kind of get told what to think. And that's what I don't like about this show, is like, I feel like they're constantly forcing an idea of like what fashion should be down our throats rather than truly innovating. And also, calm the fuck down with costume design, because I feel like people often shit on it because they think it's like cheap, ill-constructed, just made to be flashy, or it's gaudy or tacky. Bitch, do you know what goes into costume design? These are garments that survive decades. They're built to last. There's things that are factored in, like, can it function? Can you wear it for long hours? How does the fabric react when the skin heats up? Like, all these things are thought about before it's even constructed on the body. Like, you cannot sneeze at costume design. Also, they filter into real life. Like I said, like, people were looking at designs Joan Crawford was wearing in films, and they wanted to wear those in real life, and fashion houses were mopping these ideas. And it continues on to this day. They see things in movies, and you see them distilled even into fast fashion, where you see Margot Robbie wearing a gingham dress, and suddenly everyone at the Gap has gingham dresses. Film, costume design, it all influences fashion. And to say that it's very much dismissible is fucked up. So with all due respect, fuck you. Now let me know what you guys think. Like, am I overreacting? Because I feel like I have noticed this happen the first couple episodes, not to mention even on Utica's season when she was on Project Runway, where they're constantly browbeating her for being too costumey, too drag, too much, too over the top. When it's a fucking runway show. It's a fucking runway show. Can we calm this shit down? Like, can we embrace creativity for a fucking change? Let me know what you guys think. I'm dying to hear what you guys talk about. Let's have a discussion. Okay, let's kiki, get your snacks, get your drinks. I will be waiting for you in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, bye!
Well, it's over now. Click my next YouTube video. Like, comment, and subscribe.